Welcome creators, I'm the Hommeyosh, and this is my channel, where we inspire creativity, explore game development tools and software that bring Unreal Engine projects to life. In this video, I'm going to show you how to build a full stamina power system and sprint system in Unreal Engine. I'll create a HUD widget and add a progress bar to the player's viewport. Build a reusable power system that works like a stamina system and connect it to the sprint system. So when you're sprinting, the power bar decreases. I'll also show you how to build and add sound effects, cooldowns, create loop sound cues, stop sounds when abilities are no longer active, and create reusable blueprint systems you can expand into future gameplay mechanics. Even though this tutorial follows along with the third-person game series, you can still create these systems without going back and watching the other videos. I'll show you everything step by step. I'm using the latest version of Unreal Engine 5.7 in this video, but you can still follow along with later versions of Unreal Engine. And if you want to know how to update your Unreal Engine projects to newer versions, check out the video on the screen, and I'll also leave a link in the description below. And remember, if this video helps you out, please like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell. It really helps the channel grow and lets me continue making more Unreal Engine tutorials like this for the community. And if you're new here, go back and check out the third-person game series playlist. All the videos are labeled in order to help you follow along step by step. Now with that said, let's jump into Unreal Editor. Okay, in the editor, I'm opening up my project that I've been working on. So what I'm going to do is first I'm going to go into my game widget. If you don't have a widget, you can go ahead and just go right click and just look for you want user interface. It's down here, and you want to open up a widget blueprint and just you want to click on user widget. And it'll go ahead and create it, and you just go ahead and create it and open it up. But I already have one that I'm using. Oh no, that, get rid of this here, delete. Yes, I'll delete. So I already have one that I'm using. It is my regular game widget here. Now I brought in a progress bar, so you can see I have my progress bar here. And if you go and click on hierarchy, you'll see there's my progress bars. Another way you can click on it. So what I'm going to do first, I should have done this before, is I'm going to call this power bar. Okay, so now I got that selected. What I did is I just selected the under percentage. Oh, I'm sorry, appearance. I got the filling color, and you also got the border color. But what I did is I went to the percent under progress. Can't find it, it's under progress. Now you can go ahead and watch my first video where I made the health system and already made this whole thing. If you already watched that, you can go ahead and skip that, just refer to the timeline. But what I did is now I got my progress bar selected, and also made this in my last video on my x-ray system. Go ahead and find it there too. But I just got percent and I just created a byte. So I already got that done. So I go into my event graph. Here's where you get the percent right here. So what I did is I just cast to my third person character. Or any character that you're using, you just want to cast to that character, and you want to get player characters. Okay, so from the player character, now I have power used, so I'm going to go into my third person character, and what I did is I created two variables. One is power used, and next is max power. I have power used set to 1, and I have my max power set to 1 as well. So I'm going to go back into the game widget. So what I'm doing is pulling, I made that in third person character, so I'm just going to go ahead and pull that off And this is just get power. And I just return the node, the value into there. So now that's all. That's how you set up your UI for the power. You can have this set to under progress percentage here. You can have fill from center. You can do right from left. It's all optional. It's how you prefer it. So I'm just doing mine fill from center. So that's all done. So I'm going to go into the third person character here. Now this is from, if you see my last video, I made the X-ray system. Let me pull this over a little bit. And this is the power system right here so far. So what I'm going to do actually is, this is all I got was off my variable, the power used. I brought in a set power used. That's what that is. And this is my get power used. I just dragged it in. Oh, where'd it go? There it is. And I just get power used. And then what I did is I minus 0.05. And then I have a clamp float. So this makes sure that it does not go past the minimum, which is 0. And it does not, so it doesn't go to like a -5 or anything like that. And it doesn't go past the 1%, which is like the 100%, the number 1. So it doesn't go over that. So I have that clamp float set into set. So now when this action is taken, when I press X and I use the flip, I got it set at toggle. When I turn it on, it's going to go ahead and start minusing that every time I use it, the 0.05. And it's as soon as it goes to 0, you can't use it anymore. I mean, you can if you didn't. I have a stopper or whatever. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take this right here and I'm going to go and hit Control X. Oh no, it disappeared. But don't worry. What I'm going to do is I'm going to bring it down here. I'm going to hit Control V. So make sure I got enough space here. Pull this up. So the next thing I want to do is I want to get a custom event. So add custom event. We are going to call this power system. You can call it whatever you want. It's your game, but my custom event. So when I call on this custom event, it's going to go ahead and the system. So I go back into the X-ray and I'm going to take it. I'm going to call on that custom event. So that was power system. So there it is right there. And I just go ahead and connect this back to that. We can go ahead and compile that and save that. So the next thing I want to do is I'll make sure I have this commented out. And we're just going to call this power system. And this, we're going to need a little bit more room than usual. I'm going to have everything go in here, even the sound. So every time the power system is called, instead of the play 2D sound being up here, I'm going to go ahead and take this as well, and I'm going to go ahead and bring that down here. And let me make sure I reconnect to here. Okay, so that looks good. Okay, we'll come back to the X-ray system later on, but right now we're just going to pull it up. All right, so now it's going to go ahead and play this new sound here. Let me go ahead and compile that and save it. And I just want to show you, we're going to do a quick test just to make sure everything is working. So you can see the power system, or the blue bar, which represents our power system. And when I hit X for the X-ray, now, as you can see, it's every time you click it, and it, power gets lower, which I don't like. I want it to, when you press X, it just continues to drain and take away. And then as soon as it gets down to 0, I want it to stop everything and refill it. Now, I don't want to be able to use it. I found out there's some bugs trying to use it. Maybe I can implement that in the future, but for now it's like you can't use the power bar until it gets up to 100, and then you can reuse it. You get it down to 0. Yeah, so that's what we're gonna do. So first thing I'm gonna do is we need to make the speed boost. So that's pretty simple. I'm just gonna go all the way up top to my blueprints here, and we should have speed. Where did I put that? So I already deleted my sprint. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna get the shift key. Oops, I'm gonna right click and get the shift key. So it says on your keyboard events, the left shift is what we want. So I'm gonna go down in here. And what I'm gonna do next is I already have these made, the sprint speed and walk speed. So what I did is I just made 2 floats. One I called sprint and the next I called walk. And under sprint speed, you hit, after you make it, make sure you can compile and save. And then over in the details here, you'll see under default value, you click down the drop down and you'll see the sprint speed. The value, I have mine set to 1200. You can set it to however you like. It's about preference. And then under my walk speed, like I said, make sure you compile and save, and over in the details panel, you'll see under the defaults value is the walk speed, and I have its value set to 600. So with that said, next what I did is I made some functions. The first one, I have a start sprint and an end sprint. So you just go under, when you're over on functions, you just see hit this little plus button here, and then you'll get your functions, and then you can call it whatever you want, like speed boost or whatever. Okay, so I already have mine created, so I don't need to, oops, delete that one there. So I already have mine created. So the first one I'm going to go to is my end sprint, or my start sprint. So you click on your function here and you'll see just this little guy here. So what you want to do is you want to get your max walk speed. So how you do that is you get your character movement. Where is my character movement? Not wandering around. What's going on? Sorry, it was right in front of me. Your character movement. And you just go ahead and drag that in. So after that, you want to make sure you set. I'm just being dyslexic today. Set max walk speed. So there's my set max walk speed. And what you want to do is you want to get that start speed or sprint speed that we made. You can call this speed boost, whatever you want to call it, magical speed, whatever. You just go ahead and take that and attach it onto there. So that's how I got my function here. So this is going to be the start sprint. So the next, we're going to go to the end sprint. Okay, and we're just doing the same thing. Like I said, you take your character movement, drag it in, and then you get your set max walk speed. Yeah, there it is right there. And you go ahead and connect your walk speed. Okay, and then you just go ahead and make sure that's attached to your end sprint. We already got these here at the bottom, so I don't need those. You make sure I compile and save. And that is how you make our functions. So now in the event graph, all we have to do is call on that. Okay, so I'm going to go into the event graph inside the BP third person character. And I'm going to bring these two functions in, my end sprint and my start sprint. So where we made the left shift, we can go ahead and connect those. So if I hit press for start sprint and release under end sprint, we compile those and save it, and then we do a quick test. Okay, so I hold in the shift, you can see his speed. It go ahead and it's up to 1200, and when I release it reduces. Okay, so that works just fine. So I'm gonna go ahead and hold in Alt and click that. If you're happy with the speed boost, but I like to do, like with the press and release, you can use that. But what I like to do is a flip-flop. So that's going to be a toggle, and we connect A to sprint, but we're going to do some code before then. But we want to make sure that our power system is working. So what I'm going to do is off of sprint start, that is where our power system comes into play, and we're going to go ahead and call on that power system that we have right here. So I'm going to hit compile and save, and we're just going to make sure that when I hit shift, it uses up the power system. Starts, he stops, he starts, stops, he starts, and it's taken away just like it should. All right, that works. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to come back here. I want to do some things before this is called on. Let me go ahead and hit Alt. Let me pull these back a little bit here. Okay, so I'm going to set up a branch here. Actually, I want the branch before the flip-flop. So let me hit Alt. And we're just going to pull the flip-flop out a little bit. So I got my branch here. So we're going to set a condition. And what this condition is going to do is when it gets to 0, I'm going to make a cooldown. So how it works is we're going to make that condition a boolean. So I'm going to make sure I have some booleans. So I'm going to add a couple variables here. And I'm going to call this cooldown. Or you can call it power cooldown, however you like. It's all up to preference here. And so I'm going to make sure I hit the compile and save so I can get the value. And this is just going to be a true and false. So if this condition is met, what's going on here? It's going to be true, and it's going to do the cooldown. If it's false, it's going to do something else. I'm sorry, I jumped ahead here. I got to have another branch right before this. So let me put B, hit the branch. We got to have a condition before that. So the condition is the power used. So I'm going to come down here to my variables, and I'm going to get power used. And what I want to do is if it is greater than 0. Okay. If the condition is 0 or greater. So I'm sorry, I got this backwards. You don't want a greater than 0. What you want is less than or equal to. Yeah, less than or equal to 0. Sorry. And if this condition is true, I want to do something else. But if it's false, then I'm going to do the branch here. Then we can go ahead and connect the true for the cooldown. I'm sorry. We want the... Sorry. If this is true, we're going to go ahead and end the sprint. It was right here. We'll go ahead and pull this back a little bit. Put a little return node in here. Pull this forward. So now, if this condition is met here, if it's greater than or less than or equal to 0, if that is true, it's going to go ahead and end the sprint for us. So we cannot sprint anymore. So this is our variable. We're going to go ahead and set the conditions for that later. So for the cooldown, we are going to make sure this is set to true. And when that is set to true, we're going to do our flip-flop. Now I want to make another variable. So let me go to my variables, let me go add, and it's going to be another Boolean. And we're going to have this is power on. A little question mark there. So is power on. We're going to go ahead and compile and save so we can see the power is on. So now we're going to go ahead and bring that variable in. We want to go ahead and set this variable. So if everything is true and we're flip-flopping on, so this would be like our pressed, that's going to be our true. And next we have to get for B, this would be like once we hit it again to toggle it off, we're going to go ahead and set that again. So let me get the is power on, and for set power, we just want to make sure that is false. So we're going to keep that false. Let me compile and save. And now we have our end sprint here. We also want to end the sprint after we go ahead and hit the toggle. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and have the return value go into this node so it's connecting. Go ahead and bring this down here so I can clean it up a little bit. So there we go. So here's what's going to happen. We're going to hit the left shift. We're going to press it. It's going to check for the condition and make sure there's more power than 0. If that is true, I'm sorry, if this is true, if it is less than 0, it's going to go ahead and sprint. Okay. So then if it's false, it's going to go ahead. That means there's more power to be used. It's going to go ahead and check for this condition to make sure the cooldown is true. If the cooldown is true, you can go ahead and toggle it on, which is going to be the sprint speed, and it uses power. So let me hit compile, and we're going to go ahead and test it out. I'm going to hit play, and as you can see, when we toggle it on and off, it's using power. We can sprint while we're using, and when we get our past 0, it stops. I'm hitting shift, it's not doing anything, it's not letting me run, it's not letting me do anything. So now we got to go ahead and add where it refills the power. Okay, so now we're going to go back into the power system here. Okay, so I want this actually before this system. Let me go here. So when we call on an event, it's going to make the sound before anything else. So we're going to pull these out a little bit. Okay, I probably need a little bit more room for what I'm going to do. So next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go to my audio folder. If you don't have one, I suggest you make one to keep all your audio and your cues in it. Yeah, I want to open it up. So I want to right click, and I'm looking for the audio to pop up, and I'm going to make a sound cue. And I am just going to call this hum. So this is going to be my sound while I'm using the power. It's going to go make a like drain power or power sounds on. I found this in Pixabay. Here it is. The full name is Free Sound Community Energy Hum 29083. It was a PN3. Yeah, I got the case of dyslexia today. MP3 that I just turned into a WAV file using Audacity. Audacity's free. I'll put a link in the description. You just go ahead. I also have a video on that if you want to watch it, but you just go ahead and drag in the MP3 or MP4, and you just export it as a WAV file, and that's what I have here. So I'm just going to go ahead and drop this into my, and as you can listen to it, it's like a draining sound. So it might be loud or whatever, so that's why we have the sound cue. So we can go ahead and edit the sound. So in my content drawer, I'm just going to go ahead and drag in that WAV file. Like I said, there has to be a WAV. If it's the MP3, for some reason, it's not compatible. So yeah. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to drag off that sound, and I'm going to get looping. So this is a continuous play. Okay, so yeah. And I'm going to go ahead and plug that in. So I'm going to go ahead and click on the output. And here's where you can turn down the volume. You just put it at 0.55. Should be good. So we're going to go ahead and save that. Now I'm going to go back into the BP third person character blueprints here. And what I'm going to do is now I'm going to go ahead and call on that. But what I'm going to call on is a spawn sound 2D. And for that sound, we are going to get the hum cue. So we just make sure we get the hum cue there. And next thing I want to do, actually before this, I wanted to put a delay. I want to play this first sound first, and then this would be second. So 0.2, that seems pretty good. We're going to keep it right there. So the next thing I want to do, give myself a little bit more room here, is I'm going to go under return value. I'm going to right click and I'm going to promote to variable, and we can just call this hum ref. Okay, so this is when we're going to stop the sound. We just call on this. We'll call on the hum ref and we'll just say stop. Let me show you how that's going to work. We'll get the hum ref and then we'll come off the return value and we'll just do stop. So it will stop playing the continuous hum value. So I am going to go ahead, put this down here. I'm not going to use this just yet. We have a little bit more to deal with. So I'm going to go ahead and set this. So we're going to come off of set now and we're going to make another branch here. And this condition is going to be that is power on. So it's going to check if power's on. So we just find our variable here, our Boolean. We can go ahead and plug that in there. I don't want to put it there. I don't know why it does that. Okay. So now if the condition, if power's on, we can go ahead and keep going. So that's what we're going to do. But what we're going to do is we're going to check for another branch. We're going to put a branch here. We're going to check for another condition. So what this condition is, if power is on, I'm sorry, power used. We want to check our power used. Get power used, and we want to check if it's equal to 0. So if power is equal to 0, if that is true, it's going to go ahead and stop. So now we just go ahead and find that stop sound we made right here. So if it goes down below 0, I should change that to less than, but we'll keep it like that. So if this is true, it's going to go ahead and stop the humming sound that we made. Okay, and we also want to change the sprint back. So we got to get that end sprint. That is under my functions here. And we're going to pull in end sprint. So it's going to stop the sound. It's going to end the sprint. And we also want to get that 2D sound. And the sound that we're using is as soon as we, on the X-ray system, when we turn it off, it plays this sound here. I'll let you listen to it. That's like it's powered down. So instead of that being here, we're going to go ahead and detach it from reverse. And I'm going to take reverse and just go back under B. Give it a little node here. And this system is just from my last video on the X-ray system. So you can go ahead and just make a play sound 2D, connect it at the end, and you want to look for the dockable wind, or just go on Pixabay and just find your own sound and make it into a WAV file. Now I also want to make a sequence coming off of this drill. I forgot to do that. Now all to do is a sequence. It fires so he fires the 1, the first, which is 0, and then it fires, then it finishes that code, and then it goes to the next code, but it does it simultaneously. And what I want to do with that, I want to make a recharge. But before I do that, I want to make it so it continues to use the power up. So how do I do that? I get a retriggable delay. So off of pulse, we're just going to go ahead and get a retriggable delay. Okay, there's our retriggable delay. And what I'm going to do with this is I'm going to take this output after completed, go all the way back to set. So let me go ahead and clean this up. Put some nodes on here, some reverse nodes. There we go. Okay, so it's going to do the retriggable delay, and it's going to keep going. Just think point, if I'd put on it a 0.4. So basically it's just going to keep firing, keep going. Now coming back to checking, is power on? So if this is false, we're going to go ahead and get that stop that we have. So what I want to do is I want to go ahead and hit this one, hit control, and I want to get the play 2D sound, and I'm just going to go ahead and hit control D so they're duplicated. So we are going to play those sounds. So if power is false, we're going to go ahead and play those sounds. So it's gonna stop the humming, and it's gonna go ahead and play the this sound here. Okay, so now if we go ahead and test this out, I hit my shift, you can see it go ahead and drains it instead of just every time we hit it. So we can stop, and it automatically turns it off, so we can't sprint anymore once you run out of power. So now we got to have it where it refills the power. So now where we made that sequence right after the branch here. So if everything's correct when it gets to 0, and if that's true, everything's going to stop and play sound. And next we want to go ahead and put a delay. So for about I'm going to go ahead and make a return node here. There we go. So now off of the delay, I want to go ahead and get that cooldown that we made. So let me go ahead and find that here. Was it set the cooldown? There it is. And I'm going to get set cooldown. Now I want to make sure that is set to false. Okay. So now that Boolean's set, it's going to make sure that we can't go ahead and run until this is completed. So now we're going to go ahead and set power used. We're going to go ahead and set that. And what we are going to go ahead and set this to, let me pull this up a little bit. We are going to get our power used again, and we're going to get power used. And what I want to do is I want to add. And what I'm going to add is I guess a 0.01 would be good. Why isn't it working with me? Yeah, 0.01. Okay, so it's going to add that when we make sure that we have a clamp float. So like again before, we're going to keep the, we can drag in the max, but we're just going to put it in. Our max is at 1 and our minimum is at 0. So this is what we are going to set our power use to now. And now I want to go ahead and have this triggerable delay. But this is going to be opposite. Instead of taking power, it's going to go ahead and add power. So let me get another one of those retriggable delays, or I can just come up here and grab this one, Control C, Control V, paste it down here. and we're going to go ahead and connect that. Now I want to get another branch here. Pull this out. So we get a branch, and I want to make a condition. So the condition I'm going to get is the power used. We're going to get that power used, and what I want to do is equal it to 1. So that's our condition. So if our power is equal, oh no, I want to take both of these, pop it there. So we're going to go ahead, off of true, we are going to get that set power. Oh, sorry, the set cooldown. And that is going, we're going to mark that true. So now, if this is false, remember we have the retriggerable delay, we're going to bring this all the way back to the set. So it keeps retriggering. Let me put a return node down here. Up another one right here. You go ahead and compile and save. Okay, there's one more thing I want to do. This is if you have the X-ray power. Here's the X-ray. What I want to do is take at the end, this is where it stops, it ends the sprint, play 2D sound. We want to do the same thing for this reverse. So if we're using this X-ray system here, we're going to go, this is the reverse. So when we use it, it's using the power system. It go ahead and use the X-ray system. So if we toggle off, it's going to do the reverse, and it's also going, which we want here. So it uses the power and then it does the reverse. We want both of these to happen. Okay, let me compile that. Okay, so what's going to happen here is we're going to, anytime we call on this system, it's going to go ahead and play the sound. It's going to delay for 2 seconds, play the humming sound that we made. So let's continuing playing that. And here is the system for the power use. So it's going to go ahead, we're going to set the power use, which is minusing 0.05. And this is our clamp float. I just make sure that it doesn't go past 0 or it doesn't go above 1. So, and then we're going to look for a branch. We're going to make a condition. And if that condition is true, if the power is on, it's going to go ahead and make check for another condition to make sure if it's equal to 0. If power is used equal to 0, I might come back and play less than or equal to 0. If that's true, then it's going to go ahead and do the sequence, the stop, the end sprint, the play sound. And if you're using this power system on the X-ray, it's going to go ahead and do the reverse. Okay, so this is our power system right here. And also it's going to go ahead and do the delay, set the cooldown to false, and it's going to go ahead and check. Yeah, so this is down to 0. So that's the true part. Okay, if it's below 0, and if that's true, it's going to stop and play sound, and then it's going to do a delay for 2 seconds, which I don't know if I should have the delay. Well, I'll check that out later. It's going to set where you cannot use anything. You can't hit shift L. It's not going to respond, and it's going to give it time to do the retriggerable delay all the way back up to 100, which is right here. So when this is equal to 100, then it's going to go ahead and say cooldown is true. So let me go ahead and compile that, and we can go ahead and test this out. Okay, so he's running normal, and then I'm going to go and hit shift. So you can see his speed is up. I can turn it off. Sounds work. He's running pretty fast. And it automatically turns it off. And I think this is a little bit, it might be a little bit slow, but we can go ahead and change that. Okay, so now that's filled up, I can hit shift again and it go ahead and work. Great. And now if I hit X, I can use X, but it is not working correctly. So there's the reason for that. So I am going to go back into the graph and I'm going to go under the X-ray system. So one thing I forgot, well, I didn't put in, just like the sprint here, is these two. The set power is on. So I'm going to go, this is under our sprint. I'm going to actually make sure I comment this out. So make sure this says sprint or speed boost, whatever you want to call it, just so I know it's there. So now I can go ahead and grab these two. This is power on, or I should say is power running, but whatever. So I'm going to go back up into the X-ray system and I'm going to go ahead and pick Control V, and I'm just going to make sure that this is, well, let me get that return node and move it out a little bit. There we go. So if it's on, it's true. If it toggles off, it is false. You go ahead and compile and save that. And let's test it out and make sure everything's working good. So I'm going to hit play here. Okay, my shift works. There he goes running. Now I'm going to check out the X-ray system. And that is working great. Again, if you want to go ahead and check out my X-ray system, it is the last video. It's in the playlist of third-person game series. I go ahead and encourage you to go ahead and watch the whole series. There's about 20. This would be like the 22nd video. So you can go ahead and watch that and get caught up. But like I said, I tried to make this video where you could have just watched this video alone and still get the understanding of everything. And if you want to go ahead and set those where it doesn't take as much power away, where it says the minus the power, or it says power used, you can go ahead and change this to whatever you want. Let's say 0.02 if you want. So we compile, save, you play that. And when I hit the X-ray, it takes less power away. Alright creators, that's going to wrap it up for this video. If this tutorial helped you out, make sure to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell for more Unreal Engine tutorials. And be sure to check out my new Discord server. The link will be in the description. And like always, stay inspired, keep creating, and I'll see you in the next video.